Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that was really excited last year because it was planning on taking its name Cody and the platform we're on of video and mashing them together into a brand new video platform I called COVID. It was going to be awesome, and for some reason early last year people just lost interest. Ladies and gentlemen, I have decided to bring you my top 100 games of all time. This is the first time I've done a top 100 games list in about 5 years, nearly 5 years. I have the time now. I thought I'm going to go ahead and do it. I've gone ahead. I'm going to publish the top 101 through 150 games of all time on our website, thediscriminatinggamer.com. You can go there and check out that. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get started with my top 100 games from all time. And we're going to begin with, of course, 191. My number 100 is Cash and Guns from Repros Productions. This game is a lighter game. It's a party game. You're pointing these styrofoam guns at each other in the attempts to kind of bluff your way into gaining the most loot. You're robbers. You've just come out from a big heist, and now you're dividing up the loot, and you point these silly styrofoam guns at each other, and it is tremendous fun. Really enjoy this game. This is a game I like a lot because every time you play it, you laugh with your friends. Every time you have a ball with this game. It's just a silly, stupid, light game, but it's so much fun. I really enjoy it. This is Cash and Guns from Repros Productions, my number 100. My number 99 is more of a strategic game. This is Julius Caesar from Columbia Games. This is a block war game. You've got the fog of war. You've got the different steps to take casualties with. But it's really fun. Combat's cool because you've got the A, B, C system where your A's roll, then your B's, and it goes back and forth like that. And I really like it. It's a civil war between Julius Caesar and Pompeii, but you got Cleopatra in there as kind of a wild card. And it's just a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed Julius Caesar from Columbia Games. That is my number 99. My number 98 is The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. This game is from CMON. It's a Dudes on the Map game by Eric Lang. Essentially, it's a set collection. You're trying to get different, you've got these different jobs, and you're trying to get the stuff you need in order to complete them. But then, of course, you also can kill members of the opposing mob, and you throw their guys into the river. It's got a kind of a Blood Rage feel, but I like this one a little bit better than Blood Rage. Blood Rage is, I think, just off the list. It's like 101, 102 or something like that. But I really liked Blood Rage a lot, but I like this one better. So this is my number 98. That is The Godfather, Corleone's Empire by CMON. My number 97 is a game that came out several years ago originally, about 4 or 5 years ago originally, and then they just re-released it last year with kind of a new, I guess they upgraded the components and whatnot, and this is Project Elite by Asmodee, I believe. And in Project Elite, this game is cool because it's a lot like a game like Zombicide, where it's kind of a dungeon crawler and you got the guys coming at you. But what I like about this is you've got this timed portion of the game where you're rolling the die, and then depending on how you're rolling the die, the monsters or the aliens are moving toward you, and you're trying to kill them. But even as you're trying to kill them, you're activating them, and it's a really fun and clever system because it's so frantic. It's like a Zombicide with a timed aspect to it. But then, of course, the rest of the game you're kind of planning and working out and cleaning things up. But I really like this game. I found it just tremendously fun. This is Project Elite from Asmodee. That is my number 97. My number 6 is an old favorite. This is from, I think, about 2013. This is Eldritch Horror from Fantasy Flight Games. Eldritch Horror is a fantastic game of kind of going around the world to defeat the Cthulhu monsters, and gates are opening, and you've got to close the gates. And a lot of it built on Arkham Horror, but I always thought Arkham Horror was a little too clumsy, and they really refined the system here with Eldritch Horror, and I thought it worked much better. And it did get to the point where, with all the expansions that came out for it, it got to be a bit much, so I kind of play a slimmed down version when I play it. But I really do like Eldritch. I actually played that again at Gameathon a couple years ago, and I did a live stream of our game of Eldritch Horror that I think you might really enjoy. But it's just a fantastic world-exploring game that is a lot of fun, and I love the cards and the events and all the surprises that pop up throughout the game. So this is number 96, Eldritch Horror from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 95 is A Touch of Evil Dark Gothic. Now, this is from Flying Frog Productions, and it's a deck building game. It's a deck building game that I like a lot that kind of borrows from like Edgar Allan Poe and colonial America and Headless Horseman lore and stuff like that. You're working together. It's a cooperative game. You're working together to defeat monsters. But I like the game. As I say, it's a deck builder, but it's got some unusual things. It's got 3 different kinds of currencies, which I like, and it's also got a die. You got to roll die at certain points. But it's just really well. I like the theme and the atmosphere of the game. They didn't have artwork per se. They've got photographs of people in costumes, and I like that because it's unusual and you don't see that often. So I thought it was fun, but I just think it works very well. It's a very nice production. Cards look great. The card quality is great, and just overall, it's an eerie horror themed game, and I love horror themed games, and this is done very, very well. There was the original kind of board game, A Touch of Evil, which was a fun game, but it wasn't an amazing game. I like this one much, much better. So this is Touch of Evil Dark Gothic from Flying Frog Productions, and that is my number 95. My number 94 is a game that's kind of light. It's a tile laying game, and it's kind of light, but it's still very fun. It's because it gets to be very frantic. And this, of course, is Downfall of Pompeii. And Downfall of Pompeii is fun because the first half of the game you're populating it. You're putting more and more of your people out onto the board. And then when the volcano happens, when it comes up in a card and the volcano happens, you're trying to get all of your people out of the city. You're trying to get them out of the city. And of course, people are laying lava tiles. And if these lava tiles grab your people, you throw them into a volcano. You got a little 3-dimensional volcano. And that's pretty fun. So you're trying to get your guys out. But it's a frantic game. And it's kind of a mean game because you're placing tiles on other people's meeples or other people's cubes. It's very good though. I really have a lot of fun with this game. I haven't played it in a while. I want to play it again because it's kind of a grim theme, but it's a lot of fun. This is Downfall of Pompeii, and we actually did a review of this. This is one of our original Discriminating Gamer reviews. We did, when we started the show, and Kylie's on it as Tolliver Whist. It was we had a lot of fun with that episode, but fantastic game. Check it out. That's Downfall of Pompeii. I think it might be out of print because it was by Mayfair Games, but if you can get a copy, check it out. My number 93 is a game that, again, I just played recently, a few months ago for the first time. This is Back to the Future, Back in Time from Funko. This is a great IP game. It's one of those IP games that just absolutely nails the IP. You've got Marty and Doc and Einstein and Jen, and you're going back in time. You're trying to make sure Marty's parents fall in love. You're trying to get the DeLorean to go, back in time and to get to the clock tower. And you're trying to kind of avoid Biff, right? You're trying to make sure that Biff doesn't get you. But it's a lot of fun. It's got the great disappearing photograph. You got the photograph from the movie that Marty and his siblings are disappearing from, and you got kind of a mechanic that does that. And it's just really smart and fun. And it's a hard game. It's a tough game. But it's a good cooperative game, good working together game, and I really, really enjoy it. So that is Back to the Future, Back in Time from Funko. My number 92 is a board game based on a video game. This is XCOM, the board game. This game, now I've never actually played XCOM, the board game. I've heard a lot about it, I've seen it played, but I've never played it myself. But the board game I like a lot because, again, this is another Eric Lang design. And I like this one because you've got moments in the game that are very, very frantic, and then you've got the cooling off period. Essentially, you've got a time part of the game where you're trying to get all these things done. You have to use an app with this, which is great, and the app kind of tells you what needs to be done in this very frantic timed motion. But then as soon as that's over, then you got to go through and make sure that everything you did worked and you were staying in budget. And if you did that and you stayed in budget, then you get through it. But you're trying to beat these aliens. This is a cooperative game. You've got 4 different distinct roles. You've got a communications officer, a commander, a scientist, and kind of your military specialist. And they're all important. You got to work together. And it's like I say, it's just tremendous fun. It's hard though. I don't think I've ever won a game of this. I've played a dozen games. I don't think I've ever won it. I don't think I ever have. But it's fun. I really enjoy it every time I play it. It's a new adventure every time I play it, and I'm hoping one day I will beat it. But this is XCOM, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games, and that is my number 92. My number 91 is a war game from Phalanx, and I think Mayfair released it domestically, but this is Age of Napoleon. I think they're coming out with a new edition of it too, but this is a fun card-driven war game set in the Napoleonic Wars, where you have the various units are kind of core level commanders that you're moving around the board. It's one of the, the Napoleonic Wars as a board game is always very hard to represent because it's not a cut and dry scenario of like World War II, where you've got the two different factions, the Axis and the Allies, fighting. This is one where, I mean, it's a war where the diplomacy was as important as the actual wars, and how do you simulate the diplomacy, and how do you get a player playing something like Prussia or Austria to kind of swap sides and what have you. And this game it's just a two-player game, but it kind of handles that well. The diplomacy is handled pretty well here, as well as the military stuff. So I really enjoy it. This is Age of Napoleon, my number 91. That is from Phalanx. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my number 100 through 91. Please chime in. Let me know. What do you think of this list so far? Do you like the games I'm mentioning? Do you not like the games I'm mentioning? What would be at your 10 spot here between 91 and 100? Go ahead and leave a comment. I would like to know that very, very much. But go ahead and... actually, one thing I would like to say too is, I've played at this point over 1,000 games. I'm sure maybe 2,000 games. So just being on the top 100 is an honor. So even if maybe one of your favorite games isn't on this list, please know I probably have played it. Maybe I like it, but I don't necessarily put it on the list because it didn't quite make the top 100 for me. And my criteria, of course, on this list is always fun. Just what do I have the most fun playing? That above all other considerations. And I try to measure that when I go through my list. But anyway, please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and all that good stuff. Also, too, please check out my other YouTube channel. If you like World War II military history, that's Cody Carlson, PhD. Check that one out as well. All right, well, it looks like we are done for this bit. We'll check in with our next 10 in shortly, in just a bit. But I got to tell you, with COVID and the pandemic, a few months ago I actually bought a map of the world, and I thought to myself, I'm going to throw a dart at this map, and wherever it lands, I'm going to go on a vacation there as soon as the pandemic is over. So I threw that dart, and it turns out that I'm going to be spending 2 gorgeous weeks behind my refrigerator.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line.
I was listening to the radio the other day.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, what is going to be Cody's number one game?
It's been on everybody's list.
They didn't know. They couldn't guess.